Hi, Stampers. It's Lisa. Welcome to today's YouTube/Facebook Live. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. Welcome. Today we are working on a split front card. This one here. This week we've been playing around with the Sweetest Cherries Bundle, which is a stamp set with coordinating punch. We have the Cherry Builder Punch and the Sweetest Cherries stamp set. That can be found in our annual catalog. Let me put you down on my desk and I'll show you where it's at. It's on page 19. And remember that while it's in the catalog I think for the first time usually, sometimes they extend it, but always for the first time, they give us a bundle pricing where if you buy the two of them together, you save 10%. So that's there. See, you can see they've used it all as cherries. In my examples lately, I've been using them to create apples and peaches, and somebody mentioned you could create a plum. Today we're doing red apples and a very simple fun fold card. So let's see. Remember to type in #PrizePatrol. That is how you get entered into the drawing to win today's card. I'm a little bit scattered because I have a class coming up at the end of the month. We're doing an online stamp camp. Laura and I go live pretty much all day and teach how to do 6 different cards and 2 different 3D projects, and we just have a blast. And that's coming up on January 28th. So we just closed out registration for that, and we are cutting and preparing and getting all those packets ready. And I'm also getting ready to send out paper shares. So those are getting ready to go out as well. We did pick out that next time we do the stamp camp, it's going to be in March. We're going to use the two-tone Flora and the Something Fancy. So that's going to be our next stamp camp in March. So if you're interested, definitely keep that on your radar. Also been playing around with lighting. My husband and I have been to the store countless times, buying various lights, trying to figure out what's going to work best for our setup here to try to get rid of my shadow. And it's been quite annoying. But we're going to move forward anyway. Okay, so for our basic card base, it's the standard size. So closed up, this is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But we started out with a piece of cardstock that was 7 1/2 by 5 1/2. And then I came in 1 3/8 or 1 5/8 inches from either side and scored here. So to do that, I put the piece in the trimmer and I went to the 1 1/2 and then in between 1 1/2 and 1 3/4, that's my 1 5/8. So I scored here and then flipped it around and did the same thing and scored at 1 5/8 here. And that got us our card base. So how's everybody doing? Have you placed your order out of the new catalog and gotten some fun new toys to play with? Inside the card, I'm going to use this piece that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I had some little strips that are 3/8 inch that were kind of leftovers. And by a happy accident, I just ended up putting them top and bottom and kind of liked it. So we're going to go with that. Because I'm near the edge and I want to be able to wiggle it around and make sure that I'm in a good position, I'm going to use liquid glue. So see, when I first put it down, I had too much gap on this side. So the liquid glue allows me to kind of wiggle it around and try to even that out. And that kind of fits. What I tend to do more often than not is to leave it long and then glue it down and then cut off any excess, because I'd much rather be too long than too short. So I find this much easier to deal with. And I always snip from the back side because I have that contrast and I know exactly where I'm clipping. Once this is in here, I'm going to stamp the thank you in the little window so it's visible from the outside. And then we also have these strips, which are 5 1/4 by 1 3/8. So this is just under 1 1/2. And so that's what gives us the 1/4 inch pixie all the way around. Oh, this is going super fast. We might have to do another card. We're almost done with this one. Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and we're going to pray that it works out well. I have a tendency to tell you guys to please stamp before adhering, because if you mess up, it's always better to be able to flip it over and stamp on the other side. But I'm going to go brave. And hope we can get that in there. There it is. I'm looking for my adhesive remover. This is something Stampin' Up! Used to sell and doesn't anymore, but the good news is I bought this at the dollar store. It was $1, and it's fabulous for removing any excess glue. I had a little bit of glue left over here, and just rubbing it with this lifts it right off. I apologize for the dogs barking. I don't know what's going on outside. Something exciting. Okay, for the ovals, I'm using the framed florets. And at first, it looked like these were just going to give me lots of various fancy ovals. And I just wanted straight plain ovals. Well, the good news is it actually gives us both. When I die cut with this one, this fancy frame, it cut out that frame, but then it also cut this out of the center. And I'm going to use the center all by itself. You can also choose to cut this twice, one out of white, one out of red, and then you could put the white insert in there. You could even use this other option here. And then this one, it die cut this textured oval, I guess. And then it also cut out this one out of the middle. So it took me a minute to notice that there's lots of different options and interactions and ways that we can layer one on top of the other or under each other, and you get lots of pretty different designs. So lots of fun things that can be done with the ovals, but I'm going to stick with just the straight ovals for right now for this card, because I didn't want to take away from our cherries, or apples actually at this time. Stop, please. No bark. I got them to quiet down. I can hear a neighbor dog is barking, so that's probably what's got them all upset. Okay, because there's no stamping for this part, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And for our, I had the scrap paper. Here we go. For our cherries, I'm going to bring in this. Now, I don't necessarily want red and red leaves and stem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out about how big this cherry is. If I cut 1 1/4, that'd be good. 1 1/2, a little better. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer. I'm going to cut this down to 1 1/2. And what that's going to do for me is it's going to give me a strip that I can feed into my punch and only get the cherry instead of wasting cardstock cutting leaves in a color I'll never use. So there's the 2 of them. And then I have a piece of early espresso. Can even go down a little further. And I'm just lining that up to get just the stem. And then I'm going to take a scrap of garden green and punch out a few leaves. Okay, then we're ready to start assembling. And because I'm making apples instead of cherries, I can even take one of these and cut it in half and let this stick up, because obviously an apple stem isn't going to be as long as a cherry stem. And then once I figure out where I want it, what I'm going to do is I can either stick it on with a glue dot, or what I'm going to use here is a little piece of tear and tape. And if I was going to pop this up on dimensionals, I would leave the backing of the tear and tape on. Because I'm going to adhere it, then I can go ahead and peel that off, because it will help it stick to the card. Somewhere I have a take your pick tool. Like somehow I got some petal pink cardstock on there. Okay, and then I have the leaf that I can have pop out from behind. So there's one. And then I'm going to do the second one. And this one, I'm actually going to put the leaf on the other side. So I want my leaf on that side. Joanna, can I ask you to type in Prize Patrol one more time? Type it in without the spaces, all run together as one word with the hashtag in front, because that will make sure that the computer catches you, because I'm not necessarily collecting the names, the computer's collecting them over there. And so it needs to be all run together as one word with no spaces in order for the computer to catch it. So I want to make sure that you're entered. Okay, then I'm going to take a white gel pen, and I'm using the Uniball. I get these on Amazon. We used to have one in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. We don't anymore. So if you have that one, go ahead and use that. We also used to have a white chalk marker. That would work too. But the idea is I just wanted a little bit of a reflection on the side. And I'm doing that by making kind of an arch that's following the side of my apple. And then I'm starting up at the bottom, and then I'm coming in kind of spaced apart. So it's, I don't know, I want to say a crescent, but it's not quite a crescent because it's flat up here and then it's pointed down at the bottom. And I'm just using that as a little reflection on here. And then we can go ahead and adhere them onto this. And again, they can be put up on dimensionals if you wish, or we can go ahead and stick them down flat, which is what I'm going to do. So that's my little focal point. And then I want it to span over the two of these and just adhere to the top. So I'm kind of making note that it comes down about a third of the way, and I only want my adhesive behind here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. And then again, I'm just kind of centering it over the entire thing and just adhering it on the top. So I'm making sure there's no glue below this line. Now, if I wanted to, I can put a little mini magnet back here or a little Velcro dot, something that would keep that closed. But I didn't for right now. Figure after it's been through the mail, it should flatten itself out pretty well. And all we're left to do now is put the sentiment in there. So I'm bringing in my Sweetest Cherries. And then this, thank you for being so, and then you would use the word sweet, but I only wanted the thank you. And so how I did that was I just went ahead and I line it up on my grid paper to make sure that my words are straight. And then I make the block straight. And then I only want to ink the top part. I don't want to ink the bottom words. So we can do that with either the brush tip end of the Stampin' Write marker, or we can hover over the pad. Now I'm using Sweet Sorbet. That's my card base. And then the designer series paper I'm using here is out of the new catalog. This is our Country Gingham. And so this comes in Petal Pink, Balmy Blue, Sweet Sorbet, and Mint Macaron. So based on that color selection, I am using this. Okay, now I caught that pretty good. If I had by some chance got ink down here where I did not want it, that's where my little pieces of the Simply Chamois come in handy. And these just rinse off with water, and then you can use them to clean off your stamps. It initially came in a big piece like this, which works great, and it fits inside one of our blank cases. So if you had an empty stamp case, this fits in there perfect. I've heard both directions as to whether or not you should maybe poke a few holes in here. I would think if you use it quite frequently, you wouldn't need to, and it would keep it fairly moist. If you're going to leave it sit for longer periods of time, or you live in a climate that might be prone to mold, then I might put a few holes in here for air so that you don't get mold. But it is a good option for storage. The other thing I could have done was put a little Post-it note over the top of this, or maybe some washi tape, or I could have used washi tape or Post-it to mask off the cardstock. But again, like I said, we're flying brave today. And there we go. There's our sentiment. So in like 20 minutes with lots of talking and my going slow, we have a beautiful card that has kind of a fun fold to it that's a little bit different. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I could stamp and then punch out. Seeing as we still have some time and I don't have pieces for another card cut out, let's play around with something else. I'm going to make a template by sticking my punch in here. Okay, so here is the punch as the way it sits. And then you can take the various stamps that fit inside. And I just set it in the hole. And then I'm picking that up. Now that's the only thing I want to be red. So I'm going to flip this over. And then I'm going to pick something else. So this would be our stem. Oops. Guess we need to go this way based on the bend of the stem. So let's redo this. Okay. There's the stem. And there's our cherry. And then the Stamparatus comes with a second plate. So I'm able to lay the leaf in here and pick this one up. Then I can punch out as many as I want using our punch. And then I would take these pieces that came out and I'm going to fit them back in. Kind of like a puzzle. And then we can stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up the cherry. Now it works really well to set a stamp case underneath it. It makes it very sturdy so that when I go to ink up, okay, now we're going to notice two things. We're going to notice I got some ink up there on the top. And there's also a little white space down here where I don't want it. So I'm going to ink this up again. Oh, I guess it does have that. Okay. Now I'm noticing it actually does have that little white mark. So I guess that is meant to be there. But if it wasn't, my re-inking and stamping it again not only makes it darker, but it makes it more full. And then we can flip this over and we can ink up with brown. And I happen to have over here a Stampin' Spot. And these are what I prefer to use with the Stamparatus. because they're smaller and they're linen. So it's a harder surface that we can push against. And because they're smaller, I'm not getting all of that excess ink where I don't want it. And then we can come in with our garden green and ink up our leaf and stamp that. Now, another thing if we could do, if we wanted to, is we can ink these up with a Versamark, and then we could stamp over this again and use clear embossing powder, and it would appear that you had stamped in red, green, and early espresso. So that's one way to fill those up. It looks like I didn't quite have this one centered. But I can easily fix that by coming along and that's because the stamp has a little bit of a ridge to it, and that's what's fitting inside the hole, but the stamp is a little smaller because it's allowing for that border. And I guess when I mounted it, I didn't allow for the border. Because you can see how it slightly moves around in there. So you would want to make sure when you set it in there that it's centered in, and then you would have the even white border all the way around. The cards I did on Monday were these cute ones with the petal pink. This was again the Country Gingham Designer Series paper. And then it has the gift pocket on the inside that holds a gift card. We did some stamping here that has an ombre effect. So it's inked up the whole thing in petal pink, and then we had Calypso Coral on the bottom, which gave us our ombre look. And then we selectively inked to get the words split like this, because that's not how they are. I guess they are. Those ones were that way. There was one of them I split. Oh, Birthday Wishes. That's what I split. Birthday Wishes is straight across, and so I selectively inked to stamp birthday and then wishes separately so I could put them on top of each other. And then this one is the apples. This is where I use the technique of stamping and then punching them out. And this designer series paper is the Dandy Designs. That's one of the things that for free in our celebration catalog, because right now for every $50 that you spend, you can earn a level 1 reward, which are stamp sets and designer series papers. So one option is the Thanks a Bunch, those cute little carrots, or the owls. You cannot purchase these. They can only be earned for free by placing another order. A lot of them will coordinate with a bundle in the catalog. So this coordinates with the On the Farm bundle, and this one here coordinates with the Dainty Delights bundle. So there's stamps and dies that will go with the designer series paper. But that one there, the Dandy Designs, is this pack here. And it's been my favorite because it's 12 by 12 and there's 48 sheets, 4 of each of 12 designs. So this is a fantastic deal. And I pointed out because in the photo, you might mistake it for 6 by 6, and it's not. It's 12 by 12. So it is a great big thick pack of paper, and it is a fabulous deal. Next week, we are moving on to the Legendary Ride, which is another bundle out of our catalog. It's actually an entire suite, and I've already done a sliding lock card with this. So on my YouTube channel, you should have seen the sliding lock. This time we're going to do a fun fold that opens up this direction. So that's going to be our card on Monday. And then I have this one that we'll do on Thursday. Now these envelopes I'm pulling them out of, these are our clear medium envelopes, and they can be found in our catalog. But here is another version, and I've also done this in pink. It came out really pretty in pink. This one's done in Bermuda Bay and Coastal Cabana. The other one was polished pink and melon mambo. Came out really cool. So that's what we're working on next week. Oh, I know what I meant to do. Here's another thing. I was going to show you, I haven't done it in a while, to show you how we use the designer series paper to decorate up our envelope. If I put some liquid glue on here and I keep it to my edges, so I'm trying not to use too much, but I'm making it all the way to the edges so that it does stick well. And then I can come back in with my snips and trim this off. Gosh, they're still barking. Okay, so that would be a coordinating envelope to go with our card. Then this keeps it fairly open. You could still stamp a little something down here in the corner if you wish, or you can also stamp on the envelope instead of the designer series paper. But lots of fun things. So I'll be back on Monday showing you how to work with the Legendary Ride stamp set. And if you like all of them, I've actually made 6 cards using that Legendary Ride suite. And I have started a tutorial I'm going to have for sale on my website under the tutorial store if you're interested in that. I've also added my husband's bow maker tool to the tutorial store. So if those of you who were looking for it and couldn't find it, I have hopefully made it easier to find. And that's tutorial will be finished up as soon as I get done with the paper shares and get those off in the mail. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you back on Monday to play with the Legendary Ride. Thanks. Bye. Oh, I need to do Prize Patrol. I almost forgot. Luckily, I had not signed off. Stop barking. They have me all distracted. Let's do Prize Patrol. Has everybody entered that? The hashtag Prize Patrol, all one word, run together. We're going to spin. And there we go. Johanna, good thing we made you correct your typo because you won. Congratulations. I'll need you to go over to my website at queenbeecreations.net. And then you're going to, in the address bar afterwards, put / and then Prize Patrol and give me your mailing address so I know where to mail your card. So thank you for joining me. I will see you on Monday. Thanks. Bye.